Hello, hello, everyone. Paula Rodriguez here once again in a Miracle Hour episode. And today I am delighted to have my very good friend, Paula Kettula, who I met a couple of years ago. I think it's about like 5 years or so
At
ago.
least
And
five. Yeah, we were just
yes,
talking about it, trying to remember like when was it? The time kind of blends together, but so glad to be here and connecting with you.
yes, thank you so much for creating this space in your agenda to share this very important subject today. And I am happy to share that I have been on a very interesting journey in the past year with everything that has to do with mental health, self-care that's beyond just doing your nails and doing the bubble baths and the walks and all the nice stuff, but really to take care of our mind, of our heart, of our whole being, because we know that everything starts with our thoughts, with how we process things and how we take care of the things that have occurred in the past. And so I have brought this beautiful expert today, and she's going to tell you why she's an expert and what she will be talking about today. And we are going to focus on stress, on this type, on the different types of stress that hold us back, the things that don't let us really thrive and continue on with our life. Sometimes we don't even notice that there is this underlying stress. Or
Yeah.
sometimes we just think, oh, it's just stress and I can keep on going and I can
Mhm.
work under pressure and I can do it and I can push through. But what happens is that we are really causing harm to our bodies. So I'm going to pass it on to you, my dear Paula, and tell us about this. Tell us about you first, and then we'll dive in.
Yeah. So I am super excited to talk about stress because I see stress like us being able to have a nervous system that is in optimal health and well-being is like you running on all cylinders. Like your body feels good, your emotional self feels calm and balanced, you have inner peace, you have access to all the brilliance inside your mind. When we are stressed out, all that gets really, really messy. And our thinking is impacted, our memory is impacted, our focus is impacted, our relationships are impacted because when we are stressed out, suddenly our loved ones are the most annoying, irritating people on this earth. And it can cause a lot of trouble. So stress really impacts all these different areas of the house. So I see the ability to regulate the nervous system and really bring it to an optimal health and well-being is like having a good solid foundation for your house. If you don't have that solid foundation for your house will crumble. Just like your mental health, emotional health, and physical health will crumble. And all this information is out there, and sometimes it kind of surprises me still. Like people, like you said, people still ignore their stress, but
They get used to it.
sometimes,
We get
huh?
used to it. We get
We get
used
used
to
to,
it.
yeah,
Like,
we
yeah,
get
this is
numb,
how we
yeah,
live. This is how we
yeah,
do
and we
it.
think, oh, it'll be better. It's on its own. It's gonna get better on its own or something like that. But there's research out there that says stress literally takes 2.8 years out of your life.
Wow.
2.8 years loss of life expectancy if you are living under chronic stress. So
Wow.
the long-term impact of chronic stress. And today we're not going to talk about really that so much, but there's all kinds of issues that happen from cardiovascular issues can lead to diabetes, heart disease, GI issues, the reproductive system is impacted, all these things. Because the body under chronic stress, the body is just ready to survive. So it's like, I don't need the immune system. The body says that because, if the survival mode is literally like, I'm going to die in 20 seconds. What am I going to do?
Mm.
So the body is shutting down immune system. It's shutting down digestion. That's why we have like weird feelings in the stomach, when we are stressed out, or we can't process food as easily. Our sex drive goes out the window.
Mm-hmm.
And it just has this massive impact on all different parts of our body. So that's why it's important to address stress. And what we're going to talk about today is that the hidden stressors, like the stressors that people don't realize, like everybody knows, like, yeah, I have a boss that is mean and, they're just not treating me really well. It's a toxic work environment. Yeah, that's stressful. Financial situation, figuring out how to put food to the table and pay the bills and, kids' hobbies. Oh my goodness, parents are like going crazy. It's summertime, all the camps, all that's really expensive. Financial stressors are like one of the number one stressors. Political environment, wars. Oh, we all know that those things are stressful. But today, I want to tell you some things about stress that you might not even know. The problem, Paula, is when we don't know what we don't know, we can't address it. We
Exactly.
don't even know it's eating up from our ability to thrive in life when we don't even know, like, oh my gosh, these things cause stress. So and I'm looping back to, okay, tell a little bit about yourself. So yeah, my name is Paula Kettula. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I've been doing this work for over 20 years. I work with children, families, love working with parents. I work with individuals as well. My specialties are in child development, play therapy, Montessori method. I'm a yoga teacher, and I'm also a trauma expert. And trauma is basically chronic stress. So I have a private practice in San Diego, California, but I am from Finland originally. Everybody always tries to figure out, where's her accent from? I'm from Finland. Been here 25 years and really love working with people and supporting them, creating a life worth living, creating the kind of life and fulfilling their vision and living their lives with empowerment, love, joy, and connection. And all that's possible, even with mental health symptoms, even with mental health things going on, one can have a sense of well-being and wellness in their lives. And my biggest thing, my biggest message is, well-being, wellness, and happiness. I just wrote about this yesterday. Happiness is not just something that happens. It just doesn't. It's created. It's created by your mindset, the things that you focus on, and you have the power to focus on the things that are empowering and bring you joy. And it's created by the activities and actions that you take. So you can literally, my invitation yesterday was write a list of 10 things that bring you joy and do those things. Do them every day. And now you're actually creating happiness.
And so this is how you create a lifestyle, because
That's it.
so many times we think of lifestyle as something that has to look a certain way, or when we scroll on social media or the magazines, or it has to be this perfection, this false perfection. And then we forget about the things that truly bring us joy, the things that we can do today, right here, right now, in this very second, that can really lift us up and create this lifestyle that suits us, that is perfect for us, not as something that's expected by somebody else. And I love this that you're saying about happiness, that it just doesn't happen, that you created one time.
So yeah, part of the thing is like, yes, I'm went to school. I have master's degree in social work. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and all this other stuff. But, I also live these things myself. So anything and everything that I'm talking about, that I'm teaching, these are like, okay, I've tested them. My clients have tested them and they are getting the results, but I have also lived by those principles myself as well. And one of the things why I love to talk about stress is like, my old self was really, really stressed out. I had this default mode of overwhelm. Something happened, or, things kind of went over the edge. My initial response was overwhelm and being super, super stressed out. I was stressed out, like literally losing my hair, having a 9-to-5 job. And now I'm like, I probably have like the same amount of work as 3 9-to-5 jobs. And I'm not tired. I'm at the end of a long day, I feel I by the way, you don't know this, Paula, but I studied boxing.
Oh, nice.
I started boxing. Yeah, I bought boxing gloves a couple
Oh,
weeks
nice.
ago because I just went to the
No
boxing.
wonder you're not that stressed. No wonder you release all that stress. So let's talk about
So
that
good.
because there's
Yes.
there's stressors, right? And we like stress is our last name. It's like whoever last name is stress. We are stressed all the time, even if we say we're not. Oh, we're here relaxed, but
Yeah.
there's something happening underneath the trying to pretend we're not stressed. So
Right.
isn't like everything just stress? Like let's talk about the pieces of what
Yeah.
is it that we can define as stress and what is it that it really causes in our body to feel that we have that tension in our neck or in our like our body responds in different ways, and
Mhm.
how can we let it all out because we can't hold it all in.
Yeah. So the number one thing to realize that a lot of people don't know is that there's 5 different kinds of stress, not
Mhm.
just one. Usually we just put everything in the same bucket.
Yep.
But no, there's 5 different kinds of stress. So there's acute stress, first of all. Acute stress is something big happens, something traumatic or tragic or something really a big life event happened. And it is totally normal to get stressed out, to have this acute stress response.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, people that I work with, maybe they were in a car accident or something bad nearly happened. They are okay, but something really scary happened. And they keep replaying that event in their minds. They have hard time maybe driving, hard time sleeping. And sometimes people feel like, what's wrong with me? Like, I should be over this. It happened like a week or 2 weeks ago, and I'm still having these things. But you know what? When we are faced with a really, really significant stressor, it's normal to have that acute stress response.
Mhm.
So just knowing that when there's some big, big stressful thing happens, you're going to get a stress response, and that's totally normal. Like, I'd say let's be grateful and thankful for that. Imagine if we didn't, none of us would be here today. But to
Mhm.
know that you also have to take care of yourself in that moment, and
Mhm.
to know that when you go into that acute stress response, it's going to take about 90 minutes for all the stress hormones to leave your body.
Wow.
So it's not like, okay, now my, stressor is over and I'm okay. No, it's going to take some time to
And
calm from
and we got
that.
to give ourselves grace in that during
Yes.
that period because
Yeah.
otherwise like okay, get over it, like let's keep on going, and that's only making it worse. It's
Right.
only like just brushing things off and
Mhm.
not really giving ourselves that self-care in that moment of like okay, you
Yeah.
really had a moment of stress or this you know car accident or whatever it is,
Mhm.
that you gotta really give your body and yourself that moment to process it, to acknowledge it, to
Yeah.
yeah.
And so I always say, so your stressors go up, your self-care has to go up and be even higher and bigger and bolder.
Bigger dose.
Yeah, than your stressors. That's just the best way to deal with stress, is that your self-care, your inner resources, building your inner resources. And like you said, Paula, give yourself grace, give yourself time, like unschedule your, like if you something big happens, like clear your day, clear 2 days. Sometimes like I work with people like their pet died, and they try to push themselves to go to work and just keep their schedule. Like, no, don't do that for yourself. Like, grief is going to need some time to be processed.
And you and I know because we know each other at a very personal level, like really we've known each other for so long and we have experienced each other in those moments of we are doing so many things at the same time, sometimes even overbooking, and now we learned that that doesn't work, that doesn't really take you further into whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is that you are doing in your career, in your family, and everything. So I love that you have found that solution or that technique to get out of it. It's not that okay, you have it all figured out, but I can truly attest that you put this into practice And I want people to know this because this is about being transparent, and this is about being true to what we are teaching and what we are telling people. It's not just, we read it in a book and we're repeating, but
Yeah.
we
Not
are putting
fluff.
into practice, not
Yeah.
fluff, because we have seen each other and like nearly pulling our hair out because we have so much going on. Now, this is not necessarily negative, and this is my
Mhm.
next question. Sometimes we get stressed out because so many good things are happening in our life.
Yes, and that is called eustress.
Mm,
EU stress. Eustress. So weddings, having a baby,
yes.
moving to a different place, different country.
Uh-huh.
A year ago, I'm just actually going to be celebrating 1 year in my absolute dream place in San Diego, California, on the 19th floor
I love it.
condo downtown. I'm literally seeing the ocean and the Coronado Bridge looking out from my office. And this has been my dream for a long time.
Mhm.
And, but it was stressful to move. It's always stressful. So eustress is the kind of stress that happens when we have positive life events going on.
Yes.
And like understanding that, you know, if you are, let's say, one of my clients is getting married and she's so excited and she's been planning her wedding and she's been really stressed out. But part of her, like a lot of people come to her and say, like, hey, aren't you so happy? Aren't you so excited? Isn't this great? And she's like, no, this is terrible. I'm really stressed out.
Yes, totally.
So she's feeling both. She's feeling excited and happy and really, really stressed out. And that's totally normal. So
Mhm.
when we have those positive big life events, then yeah, of course, part of that is going to be stress as well.
Mhm.
So we have acute stress, we have eustress, we have distress. Distress is it's less than acute stress, but it's kind of like could be things like divorce, for example,
Mhm.
that causes this emotional distress in
Mhm.
our bodies. But it's supposed to be time limited, right? So we are supposed to process our stress.
Mhm.
We also have chronic stress that we talked about earlier. This is the day-to-day stuff, kids, bills, finances, driving here and there and everywhere, just like managing the household and all this kind of stuff that can cause a chronic stress. And the last kind of stress is traumatic stress.
Mhm.
And traumatic stress is something that the body kind of gets stuck in that traumatic stress mode when we have experienced trauma and we haven't processed it. So whenever our trauma is in the unprocessed form, what happens is that the mind body kind of puts it away. It's like behind this wall. It's not all the time necessarily in the sphere of consciousness, but oh boy, it keeps impacting us. So that's why it's important to process our trauma. So depending on what kind of stress you have going on, you're going to have a little bit different strategy, because handling eustress or traumatic stress looks a little bit different.
Mhm.
So that's important thing to know, I think, just to start point, understanding these different kinds of stress, and they are normal. The key is, how do I bring myself back to the rest and digest mode? And that's our natural way of being. It's
Yep.
kind of like I always share this example of, imagine this gazelle in savannah. This is in somewhere in Africa. There's this group of gazelles, and the gazelle is just happy-go-lucky and just grazing and eating grass until a lion comes and tries to eat it. So there's this crazy chase, and the gazelle is like running for her life. That's the stress response right there. Like, literally, I'm gonna die.
Mhm.
Running for, like, puts all the effort that her little body has into surviving. And in our scenario, she does survive,
Mhm.
because she's fast.
Mhm.
3 minutes later, 4 minutes later, what does the gazelle do? It's probably gonna shake around a little bit, like dogs shake and cats shake, and it might like jump around, and that's shaking off that trauma energy, and then it's gonna go eating. back to eating and grazing, not even thinking about the lion.
Yes. Yes. It's
That is how it
nature.
looks like, back to the rest and digest mode. And what
Mhm.
as humans do, we'd be like, oh my God, where's the lion? Oh, I almost got killed. Where's the lion? The lion is gonna come get me.
And then a year later and 3 years later, we are still thinking about that
Yes.
lion. Oh my goodness. Yes, such a great example. Now, this is super important that we realize the different types of stress and we just don't manage all of it as one, just like you said, in one bucket, like, oh, it's just stress.
Yeah.
And um mothers experience all types of stress just for the nature of, the emotional part, we are, business owners, we are entrepreneurs, we're up to so many things at the same time. So how can we differentiate? How can we, so that we know how to handle it? Because like you very well said, not every stress is handled the same way. So what would be a key or a way to know, you know what, this might be needing, me visiting a specialist or me going for therapy, or maybe this is just a matter of clearing my calendar today. How would you know? Because when we are in that state of stress, it's really hard to kind of like ground and think and
Mm.
process. So what would
Yeah.
be that for us?
So sometimes, like you alluded to this, Paula, you kind of had said, like, well, sometimes we are in the stress so much that we don't even know we're stressed out. It's kind of like that cliche of, fish being in the water and not knowing that they are in the water.
Yep.
So I have worked with mothers exactly in that situation that you're talking about. And what I tell them is get away, literally get away for a day. Like figure it out.
Mhm.
Get support from your partner, your husband, family, whatever it takes. Take a day off. Even if it's like you don't have to stay overnight. But one mom that I work with, she actually did that.
Mhm.
She's enrolled her husband, like you're gonna take care of the kids. She booked a hotel like 30 minutes from where she lives and
Uh-huh.
got away. And
Mhm.
she just, she didn't numb by scrolling on the phone or watching TV. I told her, you need to not be on social media. You're gonna go to the beach, like you're gonna walk and you're gonna take your shoes off, and because she loved the beach. And then we figured out some other activities that you're gonna read. And what she realized is she had that experience of, wow, this is how it feels when my nervous system is calm, but she
Mhm.
had to be removed from the environment to experience it.
Mm.
But that became a memory, like, okay, this is what I need to strive for then,
Mhm.
you know? So sometimes that is needed to almost like get a different perspective,
Mhm.
remove yourself from that situation, and now you can see it in a different light.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
So that's one of the ways to kind of like do an experiment. I see life as this big experiment. We get to be courageous in experimenting. And I want to move on because you were talking about moms and moms getting stressed out. And I know that one of the biggest things, and let me know, Paula, if this resonates with you, is this guilt that
Yep.
moms have and a lot of parents have. And the words of the guilt is like, I'm not good enough. I'm messing up all the time. I'm
Mhm.
a failure. Gosh, I yelled at my kids again. It's this constant self-criticism. Like no matter what you do, it feels like I'm not doing it right.
Yep. So for those who are not parents, you still experience this. Now,
Yeah,
parents like twice or three times the dose, um, because of you having that little person that
yeah,
you're taking care of, and whatever it is that
responsible.
whatever you awareness you have, and you're not applying it, then it's double the guilt and double the self-punishment and double the self beat up. I should
Right.
know this. I should do better. So
Yeah.
yes, yes.
My go-to was, and it pops up once in a while, I would tell myself, I'm stupid. Like, what an idiot. What an idiot. And it was so automatic, like I didn't even consciously realize that I
Yep.
was doing that.
Mhm.
So a lot of words like that like, I can't get anything right. I'm an idiot. I'm stupid, da, da, da. And, so I call this the inner terrorist. And I want to tell you why this is one of the hidden stressors.
Mhm.
Because when you are criticizing yourself that way, it's literally like, imagine a terrorist holding a gun to your head.
Mhm.
That's what it is. We are terrorizing, bullying ourselves. That inner dialogue is triggering a stress response in your body,
Mhm.
which is so important. That's why, like you had said, like, well, it's not enough to just get those manicures and massages, because you could do that until the end of days. But
Yes.
unless you change this inner dialogue, none of it's is really going to have any significant impact.
Yes.
And we know that this is what research tells us, is that self-criticism leads to things like anxiety, depression, eating disorders. It impairs our decision-making process. We have this chronic fear of failure, and just our general performance goes down. Our relationships suffer.
Mhm.
So it has a huge negative impact, and causes a lot of stress. And because it's triggering stress response, now our heart rate goes up. We had higher blood pressure. It activates the sympathetic nervous system.
And
Just
and
just
it's
those
just
words.
it's the snowball growing and growing and growing. And there's something that I say, it doesn't matter if you are in the most luxurious place, the most beautiful place, the best bathtub you could ever find with the most delicious bubbles and everything, and you dip yourself in it, and your inner critic is going and running and running. So self-care is not just the beautiful bubbles and whatever it is that you do, but really what goes on in your head, and
Right.
how, sure, you can combine the two with the bathtub and the bubbles. That would be amazing. But like you said, you can do that every single day. But if your inner dialogue is running something against, it's not nourishing, or it's not encouraging, it's not positive, then you're doing that in vain. It's really not
Mhm.
working.
Yeah. And those bubble baths, they work exponentially well when you come from a different mindset.
Yep.
Like I always tell people, when you take a bubble, don't just take it. Don't just mindlessly take it and not being aware of what you're actually doing, but do it from this self-nurturing perspective. Like, oh my gosh, I am taking care of my needs by
Mhm.
giving myself this bubble bath right
Mhm.
now. It feels
Yep.
amazing. That's an act of love towards self. So that's one solution for this inner criticism. And in general, the other kind of solutions for this is self-awareness and self-compassion.
Mhm.
So developing this compassionate self. And
Mhm.
we know this from research that people who have self-compassion are able to thrive in life. They are physically better, mentally better, emotionally better. They have healthier relationships. They are socially connected. They are able to actually take higher risks in life, because they know, like, even if I fail, that I'm not going to have this inner terrorist terrorizing me all the time. Like, even when I fail, I'm going to love myself regardless. And now, through that mindset, we can take bigger risks in life.
And that's all, that's pure self-love and leadership, self-leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Lead your life in a way that it's your lifestyle to go back into self-compassion, into self-forgiveness, into kind of like make it a ritual. At least that's what I strive to do. And that,
Yeah.
journal whatever it is that happened, or write a forgiveness letter. I've written like millions of self-forgiveness letters, because it's not just I wrote it and that's it and I'm done and I forgave myself forever. There's always something, there's always this new layer, there's this more to do. when it comes to inner work. And we
Yes.
see the importance of this. And sometimes we take for granted the whole thing of self-love. And we hear this and people talk about self-love and kind of like we put it in the back burner. But what you are saying is that this is the cornerstone of everything. It all goes back to how much you love yourself, how much you're willing to stand for yourself, how much you're willing to do whatever it takes to take care of your mind, of your body, of your everything. If you have a business, it's not going to work if you are not working completely. If your mind is not well, if your body is not well, if you know, you cannot be in overdrive. And I love this approach because everything that I do in my coaching is self-love, is it all goes back to self-love. Is how are you leading yourself? How much are you loving yourself? Why are you doing what you're doing? And that you really take care of yourself. And so I've had the opportunity, now I see it as the opportunity, from the difficulties, from the challenges that really took me to a place, to a dark hole where I got to experience what it was to, okay, what is really self-love? And how does that look? How can I create it? How can I build it? How can I make it a lifestyle? How can I make it something that I go to every day? And it's not just, you know, once in a while when I go on a retreat or when I go to an event or anything like that. So it's really, really important. And this is my jam. So I love it. I love it that you brought it up.
Yeah. And it's a choice. That's what I was hearing in what you were just sharing right now. It's we get to choose that. We get to choose to love ourselves unconditionally. And
Yes.
I talk about, you mentioned forgiveness as well, that the forgiveness gets to be instant and unconditional. Like imagine what becomes possible when you mess up and you practice instant and unconditional forgiveness. Now you're not piling up any kind of guilt or resentment or anything like that. You're just kind of free yourself from that right away through that instant and unconditional forgiveness.
Mhm. No, I love it. I love it. And that's pure self-care. That's pure
Yeah,
self-care that's deeper than, you know, the everyday thing that we can, you know,
right.
the massages and all the things that I love absolutely, but we really got to go deeper and there's a lot going on. And we experienced that. We were talking about this before the interview. We experienced people, you know, on the street or whatever, they're like in this frantic energy, or they're driving like crazy maniacs, or they're like, you know, people are like, you know, even shaking, like you feel your body shaking because there's so much going on. And so we really got to, you know, have the tools and the awareness. Awareness is a blessing. Be
Mm-hmm.
aware of what's going on and how we can come back to that natural state that you were talking about.
Right. Yeah. So my number two hidden stressor
Yeah.
is need to belong and to prove yourself.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Wow.
especially, gosh, been there, done that. Especially for people who are like high achievers, you know, people who want to like just create an impact in life. Sometimes it can look like in the realm of business or work. Other times it's in relationships. Oh, this just kind of shows up everywhere, is this drive to prove oneself and to, in that process, really losing who we are
Mm,
because we are working and focusing so hard to prove ourselves.
mhm,
What's driving this sort of behavior psychologically is the fear of rejection.
mhm,
Biologically, because the thing is, our brains are like really old, like the structure of the brain and the way our brains operate, it's very primitive still. So it hasn't really advanced that much. It doesn't really match the society, because where this thing is coming from, it really is a biological drive. Because I'm like, people are like, yeah, I get it, I understand cognitively, but why do I keep doing it? It's because you have a biological drive to protect yourself.
mhm.
So back in the hunter-gatherer day, imagine what would happen to you if you were outcast from your community, from your tribe. You'd be dead.
Yeah, you're done.
You're done.
Mhm,
So back in the day when we really needed to gather together to protect ourselves and protect our families. This was a must. This was really the number one thing for survival. And it still is. The need, the feeling that one is socially connected after food and shelter is the most important need.
Longing.
So if not having food or shelter is causing stress, so is this feeling that I'm disconnected or I'm somehow outcast from my peer group.
Yeah.
The thing is, nowadays, obviously, we can survive without our tribe physically. Emotionally and mentally, we can't. So it's totally natural. But the problem is when it becomes this compulsion, when we are not aware of it, and we engage in all this people pleasing, perfectionism, just kind of like doing the next bigger thing, for example, or like twisting ourselves into a pretzel just to be something for someone so that they don't reject us. Exhausting.
Yes.
Really, really
Totally
exhausting. Yeah.
exhausting.
So this is, again, understanding is that underneath that is, it's causing a stress response, basically.
Yeah.
So your people pleasing is causing it's like, so the key here is like, notice when you are engaging in those behaviors, just like
That's
catch.
what I was gonna say, because this is not an obvious stress.
Right. That's why it's hidden.
This is not an obvious one of like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, I'm people pleasing, and this is why I'm so stressed out. Perhaps we can, if with the awareness, we can reach to that conclusion of like, I am tired of saying yes to everybody when I just want to lay in bed and stay at home and not do anything. When we reach that maturity of like, I don't care, I'm going to do what I need to do. My body is asking to rest. So yes, hidden stressors.
Yeah, so no, that's the clue. Like, be aware of those behaviors. When is there perfectionism? Like, I noticed just last night, I was editing a reel by myself. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this in 10 minutes. An hour later, I'm literally like moving things from 1 inch to a different place. I'm like, okay, this is perfectionism right here.
Yes, yes, yes. And
Taking an hour to do that, something that could have taken 10 minutes, really.
And it's a default. So we can't just say, oh, I overcame perfectionism forever. Like there's always something lingering that we got to peel the onion and keep, being so aware that it is there and it can come back anytime.
Right, exactly. So watch out for that and spot that when that happens. And the solution really is practicing self-acceptance. It's just practicing this, even doing some loving kindness meditation, doing a meta meditation, doing I do a lot of meditations with people that are kind of like, smile to yourself. Like, I go through a meditation where, like, smile to different parts of your body, smile to your brain, just smile at it, like literally smile at your brain, kind of chuckle at it, at all these funny thoughts and all these thoughts that it creates, all these stories, just kind of smile at it and be grateful at it as well. And that can really generate this feeling of self-acceptance. And then having just some mindset shifts, like, not seeing failure as, oh my God, failure is the worst thing, but how about like failing forward? The more, it's just kind of like a toddler, they fail forward. The more they fail, the more they learn, and the faster they're going to learn to walk. So not making a story, even if we make a mistake and we mess up, not making a story about that. And then most importantly, asking yourself, like, what do I need? And really responding those, become aware of your needs and responding to your needs.
Yes. Yes. Getting in tune with your body, because if your body is saying something, like really listen and really execute whatever it is that it's asking you to do, because otherwise it's like we press the snooze button on the body, asking for rest, asking for water, asking for, stretch a little bit or whatever it is, because we are on the go, on the go. We really got to get this going and moving. And, I've had the fortune now of changing lifestyle a little bit and living in Colombia. Life here, even, of course, there's stress and people are running around, but it's not as much as in the States. And so I've noticed the difference of like people going a little bit slower, like they actually sit down to eat, dinner and lunch, and they take their time, and it's cultural. And at the same time, it's like, why not make this your lifestyle, even if it's not the culture, even if it's not, something that you do because you just do it, really being mindful and knowing that if you adopt this new lifestyle, many things can change in your life, and many things can for the good, for your
Right.
benefit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just let everybody else go fast and you slow down.
Slow
And
down.
like when people are like, when they realize like, yeah, I do need to slow down. And how do I do it? I'm like, you just literally do it. Like walk slower, drive slower, breathe slower and deeper, talk
Yes.
slower, like literally, because the mind and body are connected. So once you slow down your movements and you're, going fast, 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 your processes of the mind are going to slow down too.
Yes. I love that. Even the talking slower and everything. This
Yeah.
makes sense completely. I
Yeah.
have absolutely enjoyed this conversation, and so many things that opened my eyes to things that I didn't know, like the different types of stress and hidden stressors. And, we just talk about stress as if it's just one thing. So thank you for this wisdom that you have shared with us today. And thank you for helping us identify what it is that's not working, so that we can also, create this miracle. We're talking about a miracle that can happen in a minute. And if we breathe, if we take it, slowly, consciously, we choose that, we choose from love. Thank you. Thank you for this. I really appreciate it, because I know this is going to change many people's ways of doing things. And if you're in a rush, if you're just going like crazy, I can relate to that, because sometimes I tend to just want things to happen really fast. So this is a great reminder for all of us to slow down and to really take care of ourselves, and not let it get to a point that our body gets sick, and then we don't have to slow down, but we really have to stop. And that's just like the end of the rope. So
Yeah. And literally, like we start literally losing years out of our lives.
yes,
Stress does stress does that, and causes all these health problems too. So yeah, I love that invitation that you just put out there for everybody to be aware of this and to be self-aware, slowing down, to listen to yourself and truly, truly give yourself what you need. Nurture yourself like a good parent would, like be that parent to yourself that would really nurture and take care of you. That's the key.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Paula. And
Thank
thank you for
you.
being part of the Miracle Hour, and for bringing so much value to the audience, to whoever is listening or watching. If you have any questions, comments, or anything, you can leave us a comment and we'll go back and answer, or any questions. We're going to leave all the details so you can get in touch with Paula if there's something that you want to speak to her about, or you want to dive into more of her, information and content. You're more than welcome to. And I really appreciate this time and reconnecting with you after so many years. And yes, we've been in different spaces, and I've always admired what you do. And you're such a great, generous leader in this world. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right. So
Bye
until the
now.
next one,